Flames trade rumors are heating up as we approach the NHL Draft, and one insider has dropped a massive Rasmus Andersson trade report. After it has already been reported that Andersson is officially leaving, the top destinations for a trade have been revealed. We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. Let's hop in and talk about the big one. And I don't know if you know what that'll mean just by the chapter name, but we'll get into the big one here in a second. Now, it's been reported by Friedman, by now Eric Francis, saying that it's confirmed Rasmus Andersson is leaving. That's what Eric Francis said today, is it's confirmed Rasmus Andersson is out of here, which is pretty crazy because I think there's still the chance that he could re-sign. Is that what's best? No. Is that necessarily what I want? No. Is it necessarily what the fan base wants? It's obviously mixed. But the big one, what does that mean? Well, if we get into Chris Johnston, he is the reporter that dropped this big one. So he released his NHL offseason trade board 2.0, so the latest on the top 30 targets as action heats up. As you can see there, the main man, front and center, Rasmus Andersson, as well as Robertson and Peterka, of course. But the big one, what does that mean? Well, it means Rasmus Andersson ranks at number 1 on the trade bait board. Not, top 10. He is number 1. If you take a look at his stats, they're not fantastic last season. 81 games played, all but that last game of the year. 11 goals, 31 points. Not too bad, but a minus 38. That is the glaring number from Andersson's last season. The only other noticeable thing, I guess, was the stare downs that he do after scoring, and maybe that Yule log video. That was pretty awesome as well. But obviously, they do a little breakdown on The Athletic here. Chris Johnston went in. So he's a good offensive defenseman. He has that plus 3.4 offensive rating, but a minus 2.4 rating. And obviously that's just because last season he really fell off in the second half of the season in terms of his just statistics, really, when it comes down to it, especially that plus minus. Kevin Ball and Rasmus Andersson were so good, and then I don't know what happened. Ball got injured. Andersson obviously was apparently playing injured as well, so obviously that fell off a little bit. But as we know as Flames fans, he's a defenseman. He's a righty. He's 28. He'll become a UFA at the end of next season, and he has a very tradable cap hit at $4.55 million. Very affordable. The extension going to be a lot more than that. Some are saying it could be double, which I think is a little ridiculous, but it'll be at least a $3 to $4 million increase. Now, what do they have to say? They say with no extension on the horizon in Calgary, Andersson is available ahead of the final year remaining on his contract. He's an all-around defender who excels at winning puck battles and can jump into the attack. He brings highly valued off-ice intangibles too, and recently wore the C for Sweden on home ice at the IIHF World Hockey Championship. Yes, he brings a lot. There are minor concerns, such as his foot speed and an ugly minus 38 rating last season, but Andersson is a major asset for Calgary to peddle, whether he's moved now or at the trade deadline in 2026. And for our sake, I almost hope he's traded this offseason just so that we don't have Rasmus Andersson trade rumors all the way until next March. That would be absolutely ridiculous, but again, the trade rumor saga, it could last that long or maybe even longer. We'll just have to wait and see, of course. But he is very coveted right now. It's been reported that a lot of teams have shown interest, which is great for the Flames. His value is high. Can Conroy strike a deal, especially with the NHL Draft being just 2 days away now, which is pretty crazy. Will we see a deal before that? Now, this was just kind of, I guess, a little preface to what the real meat and bones of this video is, and that's some destinations. Now, we do have an article here that has labeled probably the favorites to land him at this point, and it comes from Robert Munich. He writes 5 teams that might trade for Rasmus Andersson. Now, it could genuinely be 31 teams that might trade for Rasmus Andersson the way these trade rumors are going right now. Rasmus Andersson, JJ Peterka, they seem to be linked to literally almost every single team other than the team they're currently on. But we're only going to take a look at 4 of these 5 just because one of them's the Nashville Predators, and I don't know how likely that is. I could totally be, eating my words later on if he does get traded to Nashville, but I just don't see Nashville taking that on with where they're currently at. They're had a super disappointing season. Don't think they'll be able to contend in the Central next year. Why would they bring in Andersson? Unless they bring him in to try and trade him at next year's, or at the upcoming deadline, I suppose that is, the 2026 deadline. That's the only reason I could see Nashville wanting that. But let's take a look at what Robert said for the other 4. Now, I would say this is the big one, the Tampa Bay Lightning. So what does he say? The Tampa Bay Lightning have a tendency to exploit market inefficiencies. And that's kind of true from what history has shown. And picking up a top 4 right shot defenseman for between 2.25 to 4.55 mil might be one of those opportunities. So it's between that in case the Flames obviously do retain some salary. Not much to take on at all. The only right shooting defensemen on the Lightning signed into next season are Erik Cernak and Darren Radish. JJ Moser can play the right side, but it would be ideal to bring in a guy like Andersson and move Moser to their third pair. And since they won their last cup, or since I guess they lost the Stanley Cup final to Colorado, they've been really underwhelming in the playoffs. So if they want to keep their window open, they got to get something going. The Lightning might be able to keep Andersson beyond next season. Ryan McDonough is a free agent next summer. You could use his money to extend Andersson, which might make this deal more enticing for Tampa. And this is true. I think Rasmus Andersson would be great for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's exactly what they need in a way, among a couple other things. The only thing is I don't know what Tampa would have to offer us. They're more than willing to trade away all their futures. They are going to suck for a while after their window closes. You know, guys like Kucherov, Vasilevsky, Hedman, even Braden Point are gone kind of thing. So do they have enough futures left for what we would want for Andersson? I'm not too sure. Would they be willing to give up one of their younger players that we would like? I guess we'll have to see. They don't have exactly what we're looking for, but again, Tampa could definitely be an option. Next, the Columbus Blue Jackets. So one team that is not being talked about enough this offseason is the Jackets. Multiple NHL insiders have said that the Jackets are looking to make some serious improvements to their roster. Keep in mind, they were in the thick of the playoff race almost right until the end. So they want to be or make that next push. If the Blue Jackets want to build off their 2024-25 season, they're going to need to add a couple top 4 defensemen, especially when you consider both Provorov and Dante Fabro are unsigned as of June 22nd. A lot of people are starting to say that the Flames should go for Fabro. Interesting. Andersson would potentially have an opportunity to play alongside Norris Trophy runner-up Zach Werenski. Not a bad guy to play with in a contract year. I think this might make more sense for the Flames to want to trade with Columbus than Tampa, just because Columbus might have more that we want. And I think, again, like Robert here is saying, it really does make sense for the Jackets to want to go for Andersson. Look, the Jackets and Flames in recent history have had a lot of, I guess, similarities or a lot of connections in a way. Sean Monahan's still there, so who knows? He could be reacquainted with his old buddy. And I think a deal with Columbus could definitely happen. Would it be ideal? I don't know. It depends what they have to offer, of course, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now, next team is the Detroit Red Wings. This one is very interesting. So Steve Yzerman's job is on the line this season. He has to make the playoffs. He definitely does. The Yzer plan has not been going to plan. Where are the weaknesses on his roster? Defensive depth is a big one, arguably the biggest one. Moritz Seider, and Simon Edvinsson are nice pieces. The quality falls off quickly after those two. Ben Sherratt, Justin Hall, and Eric Gustafsson are the only other defensemen signed next season. Yeah, not exactly great. That group isn't good enough. They could use a Rasmus Andersson on their second pair. They definitely could. In terms of assets to work with, I see the 13th overall pick as something the Flames would have a lot of interest in. True. The Red Wings would likely put that pick in play for the right player and fit on their roster. They also have their 2025 second round pick and 2 2025 third round picks. So they have a lot to offer the Flames in this year's draft, and they certainly do. Obviously, we want at least a first rounder. If that's not in there, don't really care about the second round pick and the third round picks, unless they obviously are offering us something we cannot refuse, a young right shot center. Now, again, I could see this being the most likely landing spot just because he really does fit what they need, and the Red Wings could be willing to trade away their futures because they have to win now, as it says right at the top. Yzerman's job is on the line. For so many years now, they keep saying, oh, this is the Red Wings' year. They'll finally make the playoffs, and then they disappoint. Could Rasmus Andersson be a piece that helps them? I definitely think so if you pair him up with the right guy. So Detroit, keep your eye on that one. The last one is the Dallas Stars, a team we have traded with before. There might not be a better fit hockey-wise for Andersson than the Stars. They desperately need a top 4 right shot D-man to play on their second pair. Yes, they do. Heiskanen plays on the right side despite being a left shot. After Heiskanen, it's Matt Dumba, Ilya Lyubushkin, and Niels Lundqvist. They clearly need to make an upgrade, and Andersson could be that guy. He would instantly be their best right shot D, and if Heiskanen switches back over to the left, then yeah, he could be top pair with him. The issue the Stars will run into is their lack of salary cap space. Ooh, a little bit of a red flag. But there is a way to get around this, and that's adding Matt Dumba's $3.75 million cap hit to the deal and having the Flames eat 50% of Andersson's cap hit. So essentially taking on that cap hit, that cap crunch, that cap casualty, whatever you want to call it. Even with those measures taken, the Stars are right up against the salary cap ceiling, and they lack the high-end assets to make a deal happen after trading all their draft picks in the Mikko Rantanen deal. They don't have too many futures left. A starting point of a trade would have to be Maverick Bourque and Leon Bichelle. Bourque just signed a one-year contract to stay in Dallas, so it might not be realistic to acquire him, which makes coming up with a fair trade even more difficult. It might be worth finding a way to make it happen for the Stars because Andersson is exactly what they need next season. So similar to Tampa in a way, but it is true. He'd fit in great. I think he would honestly play really well in Dallas as well. It's just a matter of, does Dallas have what we want? Maverick Bourque, for sure. It's gotta start there. They don't really have picks, so getting those premier prospects could make sense. But after he just signed a one-year deal, it just really doesn't make all that much sense anymore. But there you go. There are some potential destinations, maybe the top ones as we speak. Now let's get into the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel to wrap up the video. It comes from yesterday's video about the NHL draft. And this was a very interesting comment here from Jared. Jared said, bro, I was watching Roger McQueen highlights. He's ranked number 9. I think personally he's nasty in many aspects of the game and could fit amazing in Calgary. He reminds me of early day Tage Thompson. Yes, he looks like a fantastic prospect. He does have those injury concerns, which could enable him to drop in the draft, which could be exactly what we need. Will he drop all the way to 18? I'm not sure, but if he's available, I think that could be a home run pick, as long as the injuries obviously are not a concern. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.